Today, the 11 Republicans who helped the Senate Democrats raise the debt ceiling once again. Another bad jobs report for Joe Biden. But don't worry, he's blaming the unvaccinated on the bad economy. We've got a lot coming up today, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. It is Friday, and I am Sarah Gonzalez, just here to go along with the ride with these two gentlemen, BlazeTV contributors, both Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show, and Eric July, host of For Canon's Sake. You can find both of them on YouTube now, I believe.
Yes.
Right? You were taking a YouTube hiatus, but you're back now.
Boxed, I won, now we're back.
There you go, there you go. And of course, you do, like, I don't know how you do so many YouTube videos. I'm like, wow, that is a lot. You do a lot of content.
It's work, it's work.
It
it's
is
a job.
work.
It's a job. A lot of people think my job is like fake.
Right.
But it's not.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's a real job.
All right, so make sure that you are following both of these men. Subscribe to their channels. They have got a lot of amazing content there for you. But I'm a big fan of your content on this show as well,
yes,
which I am excited to hear from you on these topics of the day. So 11 Republicans helped overcome a procedural hurdle to allow the Senate Democrats to vote to raise the debt ceiling by $480 billion. We talked about this briefly yesterday on the show. This was, they had been in talks of an agreement. They had the number that they wanted. And by the way, this is only going to get you as a country to December 3rd. So congratulations with your $480 billion that we'll spend in less than 2 months. So the measure was approved by the Senate yesterday. It is going to increase the statutory debt limit, and it is going to now, the bill will head to the House of Representatives. Obviously, once it passes through both houses, it will go to President Biden for him to sign. Obviously, he will sign it. And 61 senators, this included 11 Republicans, voted yesterday evening to overcome a filibuster on it to allow the Senate Democrats to do this. These were 11 GOP lawmakers, including, of course, Mitch McConnell. Let's see, Barrasso, Blunt, Capito, Collins, Cornyn.
Yeah.
From Texas, who we knew was worthless. I don't know why he hasn't gotten thrown out yet. Murkowski, Portman, Rounds, Shelby, and Thune. So, it's really, really hard to be a conservative these days, because you get leadership like this and you're just like, why am I even trying? Why am I even trying? We talk about this all the time. We try to put it into practice as much as we can. And somehow we still keep electing these people who think that it's a good idea to raise the debt ceiling or just work with the Democrats on anything right now, I think. The Democrats have gone crazy with power. And they're not going to be reined in by all of these worthless Republicans who are like, yeah, that's fine. You can raise the debt ceiling again. What is another $480 billion, trillions of dollars? What's the difference at this point? Let's see. Chip Roy said just over 2 months ago, Leader McConnell was the first signature saying we will not vote to increase the debt ceiling. Guess they forgot except for a $500 billion short-term increase. If Schumer yells filibuster, boo, race to the NRSC fundraiser, guys. Now, I do want to get your thoughts on this, but I want to play first. I want to play Joe Manchin's reaction to Chuck Schumer talking about passing this bill once they had passed it. Chuck Schumer is discussing, but is this not the one where Joe Manchin is in the background reacting? Okay. So this is Chuck Schumer, but pay attention to Joe Manchin in the background as Chuck Schumer hails this passing. Watch.
Leader McConnell and Senate Republicans insisted they wanted a solution to the debt ceiling, but said Democrats must raise it alone by going through a drawn-out, convoluted, and risky reconciliation process. That was simply unacceptable to my caucus. And yesterday, Senate Republicans finally realized that their obstruction was not going to work. I very much thank my Democratic colleagues for our showing our unity in solving this Republican-manufactured crisis.
He went on to say, you could see him mouth, "This is crazy." And apparently, Joe Manchin told Chuck Schumer that the speech was, quote, "effing stupid," according to 4 sources. And then Manchin went on to complain to reporters as well. So it's a little bit tense in the Democrat Party, but it doesn't matter because they have the Republicans allowing them to get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with at the end of the day.
Look, for Manchin to call anyone stupid, because there's not much up there with Manchin to start with. There's not much intellect there anyway, right?
Hey, apparently he's like the only step away from the Democrats completely ruining the Republic.
Well,
so
I mean,
gotta give him a little credit.
he's a swing vote. I give him a little bit, but I need way more from the GOP than this.
Yeah.
McConnell is looking exactly like Schumer. You can't tell him apart. So we knew McConnell would be on that list, but Cornyn, we got to take a bat to this issue with Cornyn. You're from Texas, buddy. Your name should not be on a list like that ever. You should be embarrassed if you're in the GOP and your name is on any one of those lists. You should put your head in the sand, resign, run for the hills, call your mom and apologize that you're an embarrassment. Call your constituents. You shouldn't have any of our names on there. Now, the debt ceiling, you saw the president kind of crossing his fingers like this, right? Saying, I hope we raise the debt ceiling, and I said, he knows something. He's like, I hope the GOP plays ball with us. I hope no one holds us accountable. There's zero accountability. We said it in the show a week or so ago. When will we ever see accountability for the left? There's nothing. Leave troops behind. Okay, we have a hearing. The president knew. He did a bad job. Okay, all done. There's nothing concrete where someone actually fries. Right? We're going to raise the debt ceiling. Okay, we'll help you.
Yeah.
Because we're on your team, because the president crossed his fingers, and, we play nice. The nice guy loses in this battle in Washington, D.C., so it's sickening to know that it is actually happening on the hands of the GOP. We don't push back, ever.
And listen, I'm not a big fan of tribalism in and of itself, but, I mean, when you're talking about a party who has such a radical agenda, it's just hard for me to believe that the right thing to do is to work with the other side when you know that the other side, if the roles were reversed, would absolutely never give this the time of day. They would always be in lockstep with each other. It's always the Republicans who cave because they're a bunch of sissies.
Which tells you that they're complicit more than anything, because they know that, and despite that, they still do it. So the only other conclusion is to come to is that they're in on it. McConnell, being God's leader, is freaking hilarious. But that goes to show how jacked that party is, and it has been. Because what's going to end up happening is that we're going to move on from this. Who knows what the next issue, whatever massive spending bill that they're going to go out there and go support, and we'll forget about it. McConnell has done this literally his entire career, his entire political career. And yet he's still there. Like you mentioned, he hasn't fried for anything. It's not just him. It's a lot of these guys. And that's why the GOP, I rag on, obviously probably the most out of anybody on Blaze Network. But there's a reason for that. Because they have the base that claims to value liberty so much. I can utter, I'm a libertarian, more precisely an anarcho-capitalist, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I can go discuss with people that would generally support the GOP. Capitalism, they won't clutch their pearls faint on the couch. Concepts of liberty, that's all awesome. Don't tread on me flags. All these sort of concepts that are intertwined with what liberty is. I've said many times before, and this is yet another example, that every time Republicans govern like Democrats, yet they campaign as if they're one of us in being libertarians and people that value liberty. But every election cycle, 2 to 4 years, what's going to happen? These guys are going to come up to some sort of vote that may be closer than what they like to think that it is. And every time, well, we can't let the Democrats win. We can't let the Democrats win. So we must support GOP. If you don't support the GOP, then you are part of the problem. And the Democrats still win every single time. This country has moved closer and closer and closer to absolute state socialism. And the GOP has either been completely complicit or they've been just an utter failure in terms of stopping it. The minute that the people that go support these quacks actually realize that and start holding these people to the fire, that's when you start getting solutions, and that's when you start getting GOP, which would more libertarians will be, that are politically involved, not necessarily myself, will be more inclined to support, like Thomas Massey, like in terms of the Senate, we talk about Rand Paul, and of course his father, who was in the House, which a lot of GOP hate. And of course, you guys wanted another guy who tends to vote right along with them, Mitt Romney. Instead, you wanted that guy. Instead, you didn't get Romney. Like, this is a serious conversation. I don't say this just to rag on Republicans. I'm saying, do you want a solution or not? Or are we just going to fall for the bait and switch? Are you guys going to fall for the bait and switch when they're going to give you another line where they like, oh, made fun of some leftists like AOC, and then you just forget about these entire voting records and what they've done, not just this last year. McConnell has been forever, but especially in this last year and some change, the amount of crazy stuff, including your last president, in terms of what he voted for, in terms of spending efforts, which Donald Trump was utterly terrible on, but you don't hold his feet to the fire because why? He owns the libs. It's almost like people are more interested in combating them and just being on the opposite side or seeming like they're on the opposite side of leftists as opposed to actually advocating liberty. Until you address the people that you go support, this problem will continue to persist. But don't worry, I'll be here to call it out and you get mad at me.
Yeah, well, maybe. Okay, so I have a question, and Eric, I feel you getting a little bit heated, so I just want you to know, I come in peace with this question. Okay. How do we get better libertarian candidates? Because I love the ones that you just mentioned that are Republican but lean libertarian, but historically speaking, they're kind of kooky, right?
I disagree. The ones that weren't kooky were Ron Paul, and the ones that weren't kooky like were his son, which people more so started to support right now. Right, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about partyism.
Okay.
I'm a libertarian. I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people think libertarianism equals libertarian party. Okay. I'm not a member of it. I don't even support this entire process. I'm talking about libertarian
Republicans.
I'm talking about libertarians regardless of what they call themselves allying with. Yeah. We're not libertarianism does not equal party. The party didn't start, or rather the concept of libertarianism did not start with this party. That's one of the unfortunate things that a lot of people don't seem to realize. So I'm talking about people that value liberty, people that call themselves libertarians. There are people that are there. They've even ran for president. You've had one at least every single election cycle since 2008. And you did not want him. Instead, you wanted the guys that were more witty, more classic, suit and tie, pretty and prissy. You wanted Mitt Romney. You wanted those old school guys like John McCain. That's who you guys wanted. You wanted Trump because he owned the libs. And you got worse spending efforts with him than you ever got with anybody before him. But you let him pass. Why? Because he has an R next to his name and he owns the libs. I'm saying that a lot of this problem, we can rag on McConnell all day long and all these people. They've been doing what they've been doing. It's the people that support these quacks every 2 and 4 years just because they don't want the Democrats to win, will they still win? So liberty-minded people are there. They may be few and far between, but they're there. You just utterly neglect them. It might not be the guys that the other conservative networks will put in your face, but they're there. Best believe me. Just go look into it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to
cool me off. I need it.
I'm going to cool him off.
Please. Yeah. Get a fan right there, please.
Hey, how about a bottle of wine for you, Eric? I want to thank our sponsor. We've got more to come, but let's thank our sponsor, Bonner Wine. And if you know me and you watch the show, you know that I always have a bottle of wine nearby. Most specifically, Bonner, because what the folks do over at Bonner is they make these delicious wines over in the mountains of Argentina. They grow their grapes at around 9,000 feet. This is like the most isolated wine region in the world. It's not going to take you long to realize once you pop open a bottle what you are dealing with here. It is a wine like no other. You're going to smell wonderful notes of blackberry, leather, smoke, a little dark cherry. And the best part is that it's not an insane price. You're not going to pay the inflated prices that all of the big box wine stores make you pay. There's no middleman. You're going to them direct. So you're getting these amazing wines you cannot find anywhere else at a truly reasonable price. You got to go to CalGirlWine2021.com. You'll get 50% off of the wine and 50% off of the shipping. I love this. It pairs great with a medium rare steak if you would like as well. That is CalGirlWine2021.com. There was another dismal jobs report for Joe Biden that just was released today. Apparently, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, women in Joe Biden's America lost 26,000 jobs in September. And this is, so let's take into account, aside from the months of March and April 2020, which was when coronavirus was first shutting everything down, this is that was the first time women had lost jobs in America since May of 2011. And of course, as we know, President Trump had been slowly building up not just women who were employed, but also minorities, blacks, Hispanics, everyone, Asians, I believe, everyone was working. Everyone had employment numbers up. And then everything shut back down. And of course, we saw the Biden administration take all of this credit for getting all of these people. More people are back to work. We added this many jobs in this amount of time, even though those jobs were added because they shut everyone down. Yep. And naturally, when you open things back up, you are going to add jobs to the economy. I don't see it on here, but I think it was like 180,000 jobs actually lost during this jobs report. And still, you have Joe Biden out there. Honestly, I just have to give him credit for just standing upright and delivering any sort of remarks at this point in time. But today, Joe Biden on the jobs report, twisting it much differently than when you actually read it on paper. Watch.
The monthly totals bounce around, but if you take a look at the trend, it's solid. On average, 600,000 new jobs created every month since I took office. And in 3 months before I got there, that was 1/10 what was being created. It's 60 to 60,000 as opposed to 600,000 jobs a month. In total, the job creation in the first 8 months of my administration is nearly 5 million jobs. Jobs up, wages up, unemployment down. That's progress. And it's a tribute to the hard work and resilience of the American people who are battling through this pandemic, working to keep their businesses afloat.
And I mean, I want to just to give some additional perspective here. You've got all of these left-leaning media outlets who are even saying things like, you heard Joe Biden say this was a significant improvement. And of course, he says, well, the monthly numbers bounce around a little. So who wants to pay attention to the details? But you even have the liberal media. You have The Hill saying that it was way below expectations. You have CNBC saying it came up short. You have CNN saying it was another disappointment. And you have NPR saying job growth slows sharply. So even the liberal media has to admit this is way below expectations. And there you have Joe Biden like, what, guys, we're doing so great. Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your own eyes. Don't believe your own ears. I'm telling you, your authoritarian president, that we're doing great. And you better believe it, or else I'm going to stab you with another booster shot. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that part in.
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did.
Go.
I'm going to argue this, right? If we really do an audit, an actual forensics audit, right? There's no job growth. There's zero. There's a big difference between job growth and a job, restoring a job that once was, that you killed, and now I'm saying, welcome back to your job. That's not job growth. That's not a job increase. That's just restoring the equilibrium on the job. What a beautiful privilege to compare your job numbers to the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
That's nice.
When the government literally shut everyone down and
that's
wouldn't
amazing.
let them work.
Well, did you see what the numbers were in November or in July? I mean, we're better. The people who you basically furloughed in July is now back at their job. There's zero job growth. I would argue we're in a negative cycle. Yeah. We can't hire people. Go to any job in your town and they'll say, we can't hire employees. Our ships are sitting in the harbor in LA. The Gulf is a nightmare at the moment. Okay, you think LA is bad. The Gulf is underreported. Ships can't come in. People not working. And then what is he? He throws in a little caveat. We're going to keep your jobs afloat. Yeah, entitlement program. So you don't have to hire people. We'll pretend that the numbers are great because we're just bringing jobs back for where people once had them, and actually we're diminishing it. We're raising the debt ceiling. We're raising the minimum wage. No one wants to work. We got our welfare program is on steroids. That's what I want to measure. Let's measure the welfare program. The 30 million Americans now that's basically on welfare, right, dependent on the government. That should send. So raise the debt ceiling, 3.2 trillion package, and your welfare program through the roof. Welcome socialism. Hello, we're already there.
Yeah.
It's not coming. We're there. We're being hoodwinked, which is why I get mad at the GOP, because we're supposed to be a check and balance. You've got two parties. We can argue whether there should be two parties or not, but it's checks and balances. There's no checks and balance. It's just off we go. The left wants this. I guess we'll just write for the train. And even the young ones, like Cawthorn, the young guys coming in, right? And they're so young coming into Congress now. They're even voting the red flag bill or whatever. They just kind of sort of just find their way to jump on the ship, right? I'm looking for spine to get back into the GOP. People with spine, people with chutzpah that will say, let's go to battle for the people.
And to one of the points that you made there, Jaco, I believe the number of job openings are still well above the number of job hires.
Correct.
So, I mean, the people are not working. There is something very wrong here, especially when you listen to the president's comments. All completely positive, all totally fine. In fact, Eric, I want to get your thoughts, and then I want to play a clip of the president actually saying, no, it's actually the unvaccinated fault that the economy is, taking a hit. Wait. I thought you just said the economy was fine. I thought jobs were fine. The economy's fine. Inflation's only temporary. Which one is it, Grandpa Joe?
Unbelievable. Look, that's how, this is not anything that's new. People mess around with the term like unemployment and unemployment rates, and doesn't actually take into account how many people have completely left the job market, or if they're not, if they've stopped looking or whatever it is. So, if it goes down, you think of it as good, but not all the time is that actually synonymous to what's actually happening, which is why I love that you mentioned, like, if they actually looked at it in more detail, which some people have, no, it's stagnant at best, and at worst, it's actually trending down. What you got over the last year has shown you and some change, that why UBI, those guys that love old Andrew Yang, why that would be an absolute disastrous policy. Because if you promise people money, you incentivize them basically certainly to not work. So there's a lot of people, because of these multiple stimulus packages, which are being lined up from, big businesses on down to the individuals, checking into like some of the unemployment, which some states, in order to try to get people back to work, we saw that out of like Montana, which are like cutting the federal unemployment off just so they could try to get people back to work. There are so many good, like legitimate, good paying jobs that are out there right now that are going virtually unfilled. Why? Because people would rather not work. And then you couple that with, as what we're about to watch with Joe Biden, the fact that there is this sort of, all right, we will fire people because they're not vaccinated, no matter what industry that they're in. I think that has just a little bit to do, because that's a significant portion of the population that has something to do with why certain roles aren't being filled. So you have multiple things that are working against each other that will slow, of course, any sort of growth. And it just shows the dangers of welfare statism, as Jaco mentioned, as well as just government authoritarianism, tyrannical control of marketplaces, and not allowing individuals to just, get to work.
So I mentioned this clip of Joe Biden. So here is Joe Biden yesterday, of course, talking about vaccines, trying to push more people to get vaccinated, mentions that not only are the unvaccinated, though I guess that we're like the problem, all of the problems in the entire world are because of us. Apparently, it's amazing. Everyone is scared to go anywhere. In fact, we are the ones who are making the economy take a hit because we won't be vaccinated. But the vaccine really works, guys. It really works. It's just that I can't explain it to you because it doesn't make any freaking sense. Here's Joe Biden.
We're headed in the right direction if we keep our eye on the ball here. We still have a long way to go. The fact is, this has been a pandemic of the unvaccinated. The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospitals, overrunning emergency rooms and intensive care units. The unvaccinated patients are leaving no room for someone with a heart attack or a cancer operation, and so much more, because they can't get into the ICU, they can't get into the operating rooms. The unvaccinated also put our economy at risk, because people are reluctant to go out. Think about this. Even in places where there is no restriction on going to restaurants and gyms and movie theaters, people are not going in anywhere near the numbers because they're worried they're going to get sick.
Why would you be worried that you were going to get sick if the vaccine works? And if the vaccine works, why do you need all of the unvaccinated people to get it? And by the way, if hospitals are overloaded right now, maybe you should consider not making the nurses who can treat patients not have a job by kicking them to the curb, even though they were completely fine and hailed as heroes last year when they came to work every day and there was no vaccine. But what do facts matter here? And I want to get your thoughts. I do want to get your thoughts. But let me just for fun, I want to play Joe Biden later. This is within the same, I don't know how many minutes, but certainly the same day. Here's Joe Biden. I don't know what he's saying. He's talking about Ohio and then Pennsylvania and then calling himself Ohio, Pennsylvania. I don't really know. Watch.
And the Ohio, Pennsylvania, I'm from Pennsylvania. The Illinois president of Don Harmon.
So this is the guy who's going to tell me that I'm the problem. I don't accept that.
Yeah.
I just don't accept that. This guy can't get through a sentence and make any coherent point, which, by the way, I mean, he's obviously on a teleprompter. He still can't do it.
Yeah.
But you're going to tell me that I'm the problem. Nah.
Yeah, a couple things, and I skipped over one thing. A couple things. So, President Biden, you want to tell me that the 75,000 fans at a football stadium that's afraid to go out, that's yelling "F Joe Biden"?
Excuse me? They're saying "Let's go, Brandon."
Yeah, that's right. You can believe whatever you want to. You mean they're afraid to go out, or you know, the only people that are afraid to come out are the people who come to your rallies. They're the ones that are afraid to come out. They're the ones who don't support you. Number one. Secondly, the majority of nurses in our country are women. So by default, you're firing a lot of women. Right. There's a trend here. 26,000 female jobs lost. Hear me today, and I've said it to you, in sex trafficking and everything we see, this administration is as anti-women as we've ever had in history. There's never been one worse than this, okay? Whether you talk about the women, most babies aborted are girls, or sex traffic victims are girls. I had a family member this morning that called me and said she got called in by her job and said, we're going to advertise your job because we need a man for the job. Okay, a different skill set? No, just a man. This administration is breeding a culture with a female vice president, right? Now, juxtapose that with Ivanka Trump and Women Matter and fighting for women's rights and fighting for women employment and female-owned businesses and all, regardless of your race and ethnicity, it's been a complete swing. So my question is this: when do Americans, the women, wake up? When do Americans wake up and go, it's actually on our hands? Cornyn is on our hands. He was elected.
Yeah.
So who do we blame ultimately? Ultimately, the bottom line, which by the way is my podcast. Subscribe to the podcast, The Bottom Line. Who do we ultimately blame? It's on us. We elect these idiots.
Yeah. All right, we've got more to come. I would love to continue that conversation, but we got to take a break here. First, I want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. What I am holding right here is a banana cream pie marshmallow Built Puff, which is only one of the most amazing things you are ever going to taste in your life. And by the way, it's good for you. It's 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, only 5 grams of sugar. These are gluten-free. They are just, I'm telling you, you're going to feel like you're cheating, and you're going to send me mail, and you're going to be like, Sarah, I don't believe this. I don't believe you. These are fake wrappers. They're fake labels. They've got to be way more calories than this because they taste too good to be a healthy protein bar. And I'm going to tell you, I told you so. All right, so if you have not yet gotten your Built Bar, you got to go to their website. Get a mix box if you want to try all of their different regular flavors, but they've always got these new flavors coming out. They'll send you emails about it, and you are going to want to go there as soon as possible because oftentimes they sell out very quickly. You got to go to built.com, use promo code NEWS15. You'll get 15% off of your order over at built.com. The New York Times, just to wrap up this COVID conversation, the New York Times issued a lengthy correction after numerous mistakes in an article about coronavirus vaccinations for children, including the insane exaggeration of coronavirus hospitalizations among United States children. So this was an article that documented how the United States is forging ahead on full vaccination for children while other countries are experimenting with just one shot after weighing the risks, which, by the way, I believe it's Finland, Sweden, and Norway, Denmark, who have all halted the vaccine for young men, people born after 1991, I believe.
1 year, which is I just missed it.
Oh my gosh, here we go again, Eric.
I know.
We know.
I always
You're
have
the
to brag
youngest
about
one.
my age. I know.
You're the youngest one at the table. We know.
It's all I got, man. It's all I got. I have to brag about it.
But all of these other countries are not just like, oh, just experimenting with just one shot after weighing the risks. No, they're actually seeing the same issues that our own people here saw. They just were like, it's totally fine. We'll just put a warning label. We'll just stick a warning label on it. And you know what? You decide. But we're definitely going to continue to push you to be vaccinated. But so they said health officials in those countries are particularly worried about increasing data suggesting that myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart, may be more common among adolescents and young adults after vaccination than had been thought. So in it, she put all like how bad the coronavirus pandemic had been, and she wrote that 900,000 children had been hospitalized in the United States due to COVID from August 2020 to October 2021. Well, you know, she was just a little off. It was actually just 63,000. So it was just, I mean, you know.
Just a little
Who
bit.
doesn't, well, look, when you're reading the numbers, who doesn't get 900,000 confused with 63,000? They look so similar when you're looking at them.
Honest mistake.
Yeah, right. So here's what the correction said. It said that they misstated the number and gave those numbers. And then it said, in addition to wildly overestimating child hospitalizations, the article misreported how Sweden and Denmark were dealing with child vaccinations and misreported on the timing of a meeting of health officials about child vaccines. So basically the whole thing was total BS. Total BS. But how many people will read the correction?
Very few.
Who knows? The damage has already been done. It's hard to believe at this point that it's not entirely intentional. Eric, I'm going to go to you first.
Look, it's these guys here. I mean, when I did read that article, she's also whiffed on that same person that I believe wrote that article was talking about back in the Gap, the lab leak and how it was rooted in racism. If you suggested that happened in China, it was the same person, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, a theory can have racist roots and still gather reasonable supporters along the way.
So it's almost like this isn't an actual journalist or reporter or anything. This is just a propagandist, which is why I would argue that now in this day and age, unless you work for programs such as our platforms such as ourselves, being a journalist these days is of the lowest in the low. I think I'd put like prostitution and drug dealers actually above them in terms of being more noble, considering this hot crap that we've been put in by way of these guys. But yes, child hospitalizations is almost statistically insignificant in terms of the comparison of them getting it, catching it, and being hospitalized and or dying. Yet for whatever reason, these people are lining up trying to get these people jabbed. It doesn't make any sense. You mentioned this isn't news about this suggested raise or risk in myocarditis and pericarditis in young people. This isn't a new thing. They've known this. It's just now all of a sudden it's happening often enough for people to say we cannot ignore it. Look, I know there's a lot of people that may watch this and hate us and think that there's zero risk being associated with taking that vaccine, and because they use the term safe and effective, that doesn't mean anything. Yes, there is a risk to assume, and that's basically what all of this is. Why on
Which
earth,
there is with any medication.
Which there is with any medication. But why on earth would you have a demographic that almost doesn't respond to this, that are the least vulnerable population, so you would increase their risk in things like myocarditis and everything else for the sake of giving them a symptom mitigator, which is something they almost will never get in the first place when it comes to the COVID. So it doesn't make sense. It never made sense. Now people in countries are starting to acknowledge the fact that it doesn't make any sort of sense, and these guys are still latching on to this lie as if it's just uber dangerous for children. This is weird, man.
I would also like to remind everyone, specifically our benevolent YouTube overlords, that we are not doctors. We are not trying to give any sort of medical advice.
I'm just I'm looking at the data by way of the experts. I'm also back-to-back champion, so I don't fear YouTube, but that's just me.
Well, then you can come help us.
I will. I'll step in.
I just to give the disclaimer, go talk to your doctor if you have any questions, all of that, et cetera, Yaku, go.
Yeah, look, I think what this has revealed over the last 2 years is that we have absolutely embraced the god of fear in this country.
Yeah.
And the left understands that very well. And this is fear doctrine, because if they can come after your child or convince you that something's for that surely grandma needs it and dad needs it, and it's fear. This is why Biden said, well, we'll be in the clear if we're 98% vaccinated. So 80%, is that enough? No, you should still be very afraid.
It's also why they continue pitting the vaccinated against the unvaccinated.
Exactly, and this is why you get an article like this that's complete bogus. There's nothing in that article. Maybe even the last name of the person who wrote it is not even real.
She probably misspelled that.
Okay, and so nothing is real because it's all about fear. This is why you just on that segment that you played come and say, well, nobody wants to go outside. It's a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
They're chanting against you in stadiums. Okay, nobody is afraid to go outside here. Not even in California, for crying out loud, right? And so it's fear. So the outcry is America has to break with the spirit of fear. These other countries, Sweden and these guys, never bit into the fear doctrine.
True.
We're not going to manipulate and coerce and defraud our people, which is what a pimp does.
Yeah.
So it's pimp Biden, okay? This is what this is. It's the pimp administration. We're going to coerce, defraud, undermine you, abuse you with fear, right? And so at some point, we need to say, no more fear. Yeah. Danger is real. Danger you can measure. And we're measuring it, this virus is not bad for kids. We measured the danger. I measured it. I took it. I go, you know what? It's amazing. My antibodies are high. Not dangerous anymore for me. So why would I buy into the fear vaccine, okay, when I go and I measure the danger and I go, nah, not so dangerous for me. For me, I'm talking about me now. Someone else with underlying conditions, whatever, you need to measure the danger and decide for yourself, right? But the fear doctrine says, no. 98% or we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Taser. So protecting your family is obviously very important. It should be the most important thing in your life right now. And while you do anything needed to protect them, liberal states, if you are living in one of those states, it can unfortunately make home defense very difficult, defending your family very difficult. Taser understands that, and they know that self-defense is important. They make sure that you have what you need. You are equipped with what you need to protect yourself or your family. They have a Taser Pulse Plus that can shoot up to 15 feet away. It locks up the attacker's muscles for up to 30 seconds. That gives you time to escape and get out of whatever situation you need to and get help. If you pair it with your phone, it alerts emergency dispatchers with your GPS location as soon as you fire it, so you will have emergency on the way. It only weighs 8 ounces, so you can carry it just about anywhere. Your hip, your bag, your glove box, your purse, your fanny pack, because I know those are kind of in style once again, wherever you need to. Yeah, I don't recommend the fanny pack. I do recommend the Taser, but you do you, all right? Taser devices have saved over 237,000 lives since 1993. Get the Taser Pulse Plus today and save 15% at taser.com with promo code Y. Guys, I obviously am armed. I have my firearms, and I still carry this Taser. It is an amazing Taser. I highly recommend it. It is TASER, taser.com, promo code Y. Supplies are limited and restrictions apply. You got to go see the site for details. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki refused to address concerns over the ethics of an art exhibition by Hunter Biden, who is, of course, Joe Biden's son, just the son of the president getting all of these deals and favors. I feel like if it were President Trump, it was President Trump, and his kids couldn't get away with anything, even if it was totally above board. So a reporter yesterday pressed Psaki on the attendance of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, President Biden's nominee to serve as ambassador to India, at Hunter's art show. Here is what Jen Psaki had to say.
The ambassador designate to India was seen reportedly at an event in Los Angeles last week, an art gallery event that featured the artwork of the president's son, Hunter. The ethicists who have pointed to this arrangement have expressed concern that the president's son selling art could potentially put the president in a situation where those who seek jobs either in this administration or favors from this administration could put this White House in an awkward position. First of all, what is the White House's response to the fact that an ambassador nominee was at this event? And secondly, should we expect to see more people who seek jobs in this administration attending events like this in the future?
Well, to be clear, we've spoken to the arrangement that is run by the gallerist and Hunter Biden's representatives that the White House provided suggestions for. I'd refer you to the gallerist for questions about the event.
And that's it. And that's all they have to say. That's all they have to say.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's just going to go away for the reasons that you guys, I think, mentioned earlier on in the show, that there is no one with spine who's willing to hold these people accountable or like do any sort of digging into anything. We've got a couple minutes, guys.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it. This is favor. They extended this guy favor. It's favor. Anybody in that position, even.
I mean, are you saying you don't think Hunter Biden's art is amazing?
It sucks. Okay. All right. And so does the ethics of this administration. I mean, there's no ethics here. You can't even apply for a raffle ticket if you work at a U.S. corporation. If you have a family member, you know, it's for the public. You can't play. If you're an employee, you can't play.
Yeah.
No. If you're the president's son, you jack the price up from $5, which is what it's worth, to $75,000 for the art because you're the president's son. And why would we change? He only got over $1 billion from a Chinese corporation. What's a piece of art? What's $75,000? He got away with $1.something billion. What's going to make him stop when he has the press secretary of the White House covering for him? You know what? You need to talk to the gallery. It had nothing to do with us. No, the DNA has something to do with it. His son.
She's like, Hunter who? I don't even know who you're referring to, Eric. We got about a minute.
That's, look, it's pay for play. We know this about not just this administration, but that seems to be politics in general. Yeah. If you dig deep enough, you'll start seeing the same faces in familiar places. And the reason why she doesn't even respond or even attempt to acknowledge that is because she knows, and she's cocky enough, just like a lot of people that are in those positions, to know that you ain't gonna do nothing about it.
That's right.
So it's like, yeah, go talk to them. Yeah, is there probably a conflict of interest there? Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
Right.
Nothing.
Her answer could be peanut butter, and nothing would happen. She could say anything.
Well, you can tell that she knows that by the look on her face whenever the question is being asked.
The disinterest.
Right, and just the smug, like.
Yeah, like what you gonna do?
Which, you know, Look, I'm a woman, I'm pro-woman, but sometimes.
You make it look good, though.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're a woman who can't handle not showing your emotions while you're looking at someone, that may not be the best job for you, is all I'm saying. Poor man's peppermint patty. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. It just feels so unprofessional. Well, it's Friday, which means my producer loads up some hate mail for me to read and everyone else to hear. So here we've got one from Big Rich who says, "Are you crazy? You must be one of those hicks that came out of the woods when Trump said he was going to build a wall in the broader." I think he means border. In the broader. I know you are not Spanish. If you are a want-to-be white girl. If you are a want-to-be white girl. Well, this is my first and last time I'll ever see your channel, which I am very, very upset about because I definitely wanted someone like Big Rich to watch my channel. So I'm really going to miss the one Big Rich who matters not to me, who means nothing in my life. That's a really big bummer. This is not an airport. You do not need to announce your departure.
Shed one tear.
What? Just.
There you go.
Right there. We've got one more from Sal Luna. Wow, this is heavy. F you, white supremacist. Wait, I thought I was just Hispanic. White supremacist, xenophobic, racist, bigot, pro-dictators, pro-Russia, pro-child abuse to Spanish-speaking babies asking for asylum. Mother effer. F you, Trump cultists.
And then she had a stroke.
That is heavy. That was really heavy. But didn't they just... I can't keep up with it. I can't keep up with it. I think last week I was called a race traitor. This week I'm being called a white supremacist, xenophobic. All right. Well, I'm not going to make sense of it. I'm not going to try to.
Don't try.
I'm not going to try to. Thank you guys so much for being here.